of Zelda 2. With me on my virtual couch is Eon.
Hello.
Yep. And back in my physical cat tree is, let me see, my cat Mocha right there.
Mocha?
There she is. Yeah, she's a good cat.
As we're talking about hot chocolate, delightful.
Exactly. So I think we can go ahead and get a countdown if you're ready, Pleasantly.
Sure thing. If you are ready to rock, I will count you down starting at 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
All right. So I'm going to be doing a run of New Game Plus 100% NMG. And I'll have Eon explain exactly what those three parts of the category mean.
Sure.
While I get this magic container.
So you may notice right off the bat that Tetra's levels are quite a bit higher than you would normally expect when starting out. She's got Attack 8, Magic 8, and Life 8. Also, when she paused to queue up the Fairy spell, she had the Fairy spell at the start, as well as all of the other spells. And so that's because you may be familiar, Zelda 1 has a second quest. Zelda 2 doesn't have a second quest, but it does have a New Game Plus option, which lets you carry over your levels, your spells, and your sword techniques. So in addition to everything we've seen, Tetra also has downstab and upstab, which she just showed off both of those. And so now for the 100%, that means we have to get everything that includes spells, sword techniques, permanent items, and including the palace items. We also have to place all of the gems. And then there's the no major glitches, or NMG stands for no major glitches, which means we can't do major glitches like, there's the healer glitch, which lets you do some wrong warping, and scroll lock, which really breaks the game wide open as far as wrong warps and stuff like that. Those kinds of things aren't allowed. But we can do a couple more minor glitches, which we'll see and I'll explain as they happen. But right now, Tetra is going into Palace 1. You may notice that she, if you're familiar with the Palace, she has actually skipped the candle, and that's important that she's skipping it right now.
Yep. And I'm actually taking a intentional death here. I realized on my way down, I did an oops, and I got hit by a bubble, which is a problem because I need every single bit of magic that I have right now. So, and I don't think I'm gonna have enough to cast Fairy. Yeah, I don't. So yeah. That's my bad.
That's an annoying thing. The tin suits people know will steal your experience if they hit you, but the skull bubbles will also steal some magic, which is really unfortunate.
But as you'll see during this run, you do often have to watch your magic meter very carefully. And having enough for Fairy is kind of a tricky thing. By the way, hi Horsehead, bye Horsehead.
Yes. Yeah, so normally Horsehead takes, when you fight him with Attack 3, he takes 8 hits. With Attack 8, he only takes 2 hits. So also you may have noticed that Tetra did what we call an up A, where you pause on controller 1 and controller 2 presses up A, which is effectively like a save and quit. She did that after the gem started rising in the statue, but before it got all the way up to the top of the statue. And that's very important for the first glitch that we're going to see, which is we've called gem duplication. And so it turns out that the gem leaves your inventory once it starts rising, but it doesn't actually get associated with that statue until it gets all the way to the top. So if you up A during those couple seconds while that gem is rising, you can place another gem in the same statue, which means by doing that, we're effectively going to be able to skip a boss fight. So, which is why I said we have to place all the gems, not that we have to fight all the bosses.
Yep, exactly. It's kind of a cool glitch, and it really does open up the game, not entirely, so it's not considered a quote-unquote major glitch as far as the Zelda 2 community, but it is still allowed in this category, which is no major glitches. Minor glitches are fair game, and we're going to see a number of those.
Yeah, and so that was actually discovered, I think, in 2020 by Digshake and Unos in the community. So, ooh, nice upstab on that Doom Rattler. And so
Yeah,
now we...
technically you don't need to do that, but I like doing it for swag.
Yes. So the reason why Tetra didn't get the candle until this time is even though the gem wouldn't have been associated.
Whoops, shoot! I fell in the lava. Darn. That bridge is so rickety and nah. Just kidding. That was actually an intentional death that I took.
Yes, to refill magic, because as we mentioned, magic management is important in this category. Because you also notice that Tetra's been using the fairy spell to get through locked doors. She won't actually be collecting very many keys if you pay attention, so...
yeah, I do get a couple of keys, but those locked doors are really more suggestions rather than actual locks.
Yes. And so the thing with getting the candle now, even though she up-A's before the gem hits the top of the statue, if you also get the palace item, then the palace will turn to stone. And so that's why she was not getting the candle the first time and wanted to wait until the second time so she could actually place 2 gems in this statue. So, and this will be nice. We won't have to fight Horsehead a second time.
Yep, so I'm actually going to place the crystal and let it rise this time, the way the game was intended to be played. Up ahead, I'm going to be doing a glitch we call Fairy Feet, which I'll let Eon explain once we get to it.
Yeah, so it's called that because a community member, Crystal Saver, found it while playing the game with his feet, so... Okay, so there we go. Basically, what happens there is, as Fairy, you have instant acceleration, so it's a lot easier to do as Fairy than as with Link, or in this case, Zelda, where you have some momentum buildup and acceleration. You can do basically 1-frame taps to get basically right on the boundary of the screen transition. And then it turns out on those overworld encounters, the game doesn't actually check left side or right side of the encounter to know where to put you. It checks the direction of your motion as you cross the boundary. And so once you get outside of that boundary and then you can go back the other direction, that's enough. The game sees, oh, you're moving to the right. I'm going to put you as if you went on the right exit, which saves a lot of time from having to walk like a 14-second screen. So, and now with the candle, we can see these caves, which is really nice. So doing that death abuse costs about 8 seconds that Tetra did in Palace 1. It turns out that if things had been delayed a little bit and she had gone into Palace 1 later, she could have done it without needing the death abuse because she'd have had more magic containers. But also it turns out that doing Dark Death Mountain can cost a lot of time. So it could potentially cost more than those 8 seconds for the death abuse.
Yeah, exactly. For the folks who are, best in the class playing Zelda 2, they probably won't lose that much time. But since you're really playing quite literally in the dark, it can be really tricky. And I found that it usually costs me more than that time. So here I'm going to take a little bit of a life refill and then intentionally keep casting it so that way I can get a free cast of Fairy over on this screen.
That allowed us to skip speaking to Bagoo, which is
we
needed.
We don't know Bagoo.
Yeah, we do not know Bagoo this time.
Yeah, we'll definitely be skipping a number of things from an average playthrough.
Yes, that's in large part due to this being a New Game Plus run where we don't have to get, we didn't have to stop in town really because, we already have the spells from the town. And we didn't have to stop and get the items that are required to get the spells because we have those spells. So.
Being able to downstab those Octoroks is very satisfying.
Yeah, having downstab in Death Mountain is very nice. And those bats and bots right there are both kind of random enemies that can be a real tricky section to navigate quickly. So Fairy Spell makes it trivial.
Yeah, in New Game Plus, we're not really worried so much about damage from them since we have life 8, and normally you would only have life 2 or 3 at this point in the game. But you can take a lot of knockback from them, and that slows you down considerably.
Yeah, a knockback from an enemy costs about 1.2 seconds, so if you want to go fast, you want to try to avoid taking damage, or at least in this case, avoid taking damage when you're not the fairy.
Yep, so I'm going to do that again on this screen so you can just...
This is another tricky screen with those bats.
And then here we come down Daira Alley. Dairas are those axe-wielding enemies.
And they give new players a very hard time, but it's when you can just downstab over them in one hit, turns out they're not so bad.
Yeah, really, this is playing on easy mode here. I like this category a lot because it lets you focus more on the sort of overall fun of the game without having to worry about too many of the nitty-gritty combat mechanics. And also, since having to do the Dark Death Mountain isn't what I particularly enjoy, it's just, category that I think plays better to my strengths and interests. So sometimes that's the best thing to do when speedrunning a game. Find a category that really just works best for you.
Yeah, I think everyone should play games the way that they enjoy them, so...
Yeah. And that's not always the way the games were intended to be played, but yeah.
Correct.
I think now would be a good time for donations or information about the fund we're raising money for, if you have any.
I have a little bit of both of those. So first thing I want to do is I have a $15 donation from Anonymous saying, a childhood favorite. Thank you, Tetra, for the run, and Frost Fatales for supporting this wonderful cause. And speaking of the cause that we're supporting today, we are contributing all of our donations to Malala Fund, which is working around the clock to make better education for little girls all around the world. Again, Malala began blogging about girls, this is about their assembly thing actually, about girls' education at age 11, and today she helps other girls tell their stories with the Malala Fund. So definitely get those donations in. Make sure you're choosing those incentives and prizes when you go to donate. Leave us some fantastic love mail when the process, and you might even hear some of your things that you're talking about in those comments while we're running things live. I have...
Right.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, keep going.
Fantastic. I have a $20 donation from Chris. I remember playing this at the age of 7, reading in the manual that the save battery is due to last a whopping 5 years, and thinking, sure, I'll finish it before then. 30 years later, I never did finish it. Good luck and have fun to the runner.
Thanks so much, Chris.
And we have a $25 donation from Lapras Soul. Love to hear Pleasantly Twisted on the comms. I'm looking at that PS5, not gonna lie. But I'm also delighted to support a wonderful cause. Keep up the great work.
Thanks so much for the donations.
Yeah. Now we're headed to Palace 2, which this is a neat little manipulation. The RNG actually resets when you up A. And so the what happens here, the walk or the pattern that Tetra's gonna get will be based on the amount of time she delayed at that boulder. And it looks like she got a frame perfect boulder break, so...
Oh.
Yeah, so that's a little bit tricky, but there's so basically based on how many frames you delay at the boulder determines what the spawns are going to be and how easy or hard of a time you're going to have making it to the palace. But
All right,
she
I'll
made
take a one
quick
encounter
work.
walk.
Yeah. So, and also for the donor who mentioned the 5 years for the battery, it turns out those batteries actually, in general, tend to last quite a bit longer than that. So there may still be a chance that your save is good.
That's true. Actually, I have an interesting story related to that. When I was visiting another friend of mine in the Z2 community, oh, hold on, let me get this key. That's actually a little tricky.
Those bots are very random and can knock you into the lava.
Yes, very easily. Not that that's ever happened to me repeatedly. But I was buying a copy of actually Zelda 1 from a retro video game store, and the battery in it didn't still work. And the folks there were really nice. They're like, "Oh, are you sure you don't want us to replace the battery? We can do it." I'm like, "Nah, I'm a speedrunner. I don't need to save my games." So.
I mean, I don't think that there can ever be a mightier flex than that. It was like, what, you save your games? Interesting. Very interesting. What's that like? Oh, you stop?
I do like playing games casually sometimes, but not really Zelda 2.
That's relatable. That's very relatable. I want to try that the next time I go to the retro shop. Oh, I don't need a memory card for my PS1. You see, I'm a speedrunner. Ma'am, you're ordering a copy of Breath of Fire 3. I understand.
Gotcha. All right, so here we just picked up the glove, which lets you break blocks.
Yes. The handy glove, as we call it.
Speaking of clothing, I should also point out that I'm using a slightly modified version of the ROM to play as Princess Zelda. Thank you to everyone who donated to make that happen. And we should probably give some credit to the folks who made that possible.
Yeah, so Nightcrawler, who's a member of the Zelda 2 and Zelda 2 randomizer community, provided the sprite for Zelda. And then also Lifia provided a utility to change the color palette, so that's why Zelda has a nice, lovely blue dress instead of a green dress like Link has his green tunic, as well as, I don't think we've seen it yet, but I don't want to spoil it. We may see a different color for when the shield spell is cast.
Maybe. Yeah. That's the nice thing about when you're changing up the sprite of a character. You know, you can add a little bit of color as well, because if I had done it just without changing it, it would have been sort of the green that Link wears, and green dresses, I don't know, just not my thing personally.
A real green dress? That's cruel. Oh, and Iron Knuckles are afraid of fairies.
Yeah.
And there is a question in chat about there being a glitch in the block room when you get on the very top, and it turns out that's not actually unique to the block rooms. It's just anywhere. Hi, Helmet Head. Bye, Helmet Head. Anywhere that you get into the HUD, if you can get into the HUD and cast the fairy spell, you can do what we call HUD fairying, which is a major glitch, and you can do that in the mountain town of Darunia to get to what we call Glitch Town, which is normally in speedruns accessed through the healer glitch.
Okay, so quiet here, please. Ah, missed a few, darn.
So it turns out another consequence of the RNG resetting when you do an up A, there ends up being an audio cue for that boulder break, where if you do it at just the right audio cue, you can guarantee a back spawn so you don't take an encounter going over the tile. So that was the reason for the hesitation, and there will be at least one or two more opportunities to get that audio cue. So.
Okay, so we're about to go into Palace 3 up ahead here. And let's see if I get lucky. I do get lucky.
Nice. Yeah, so The statues in this palace are actually a 50-50 chance of either being a red jar or a red iron knuckle. In palaces 1 and 2, the statues that you can stab are 100% chance of being a red jar. So this is where the game kind of ups the difficulty a little bit as far as the palaces go.
Yeah, and you'll see that as we get to the boss, it requires a few more hits than the 2 hits from Helmet Head and Horse Head in P1 and 2. So this is going to be one of the relatively few keys we get in
Yes, it's
this category.
not very far out of your way to get that one, so we'll get it.
Yeah, we're also intentionally going to be going through a door both in and out to get the raft up ahead. So that way we don't have to cast fairy twice, once each way if we break the door, this door right here.
I would like to interrupt briefly for all of our guys, gals, and NB pals. We just broke 15K.
Yo,
heck yeah.
awesome.
We just broke 15K. Good work, everybody. Love the support that you're showing for everybody here, and loving the support for all the people pulling up for the Zelda run, too. That's all I really wanted. Please continue.
Yeah, thanks for that interruption.
Yeah, and thank you for all the donations. All right.
Getting the raft.
And then I should probably queue up jump on the way back.
Yeah, the bots in this lava room it's another place where those bots can really troll you. They like to jump and knock you into the lava. They don't do a lot of damage when you've got life 8, and they don't take much to kill them, but if they bop you wrong, you're going into the lava.
Yeah, there'll be a couple of times where we want to intentionally take a lava bath, as we sometimes call it in the community, but if we can avoid it, definitely would like to avoid it.
Yes.
And we'll ferry through here. Yeah, when you have life 8 and a lot of health, really what you're just trying to do is avoid taking any knockback and go through as quickly as you can.
Yeah, there are some times where you want beams, but right now that's not the important thing.
So now we're going to be fighting Rebonak, and there's a fun quirk in some other categories about how Rebo will look like a shark. Do you want to talk about that,
Yeah, so there's in the major glitches categories where you fight all the bosses, you can wrong warp between palaces in some cases. And so if you wrong warp from Palace 4 to Palace 3 to fight Rebonak, it still has Karok's tile set loaded, and so the horse is loaded in with sprite blocks from Karok's robes, and it ends up looking kind of like a shark. And so in those instances, we call him Rebo Shark. And yeah, it's the best part of. Hey, there we got the audio cue. I paused my commentary.
Thank you
for that. But yeah, that's one of my favorite things about the glitched categories is the appearance of Rebo Shark.
All right, so normally in a all keys run, that's the most common and popular category of this game. At this point in the run, you're going to be rescuing a child and going to take him back to his family, and then getting a reflect spell so that you can then go ahead and fight that RNG wizard boss. But
also the
we're not here to do that. Oh, and upstab. But we're not going to do any of that in this category. What we are here for is basically just the boots and a magic container that I'm about to get. But mostly the boots.
Yes. Yeah, it's real nice because we did that gem duplication early on, and we already have everything from the mountain town of Darunia. All we need are the boots, and we can avoid the very random Karok boss fight. So.
And also some of the walks are known as being some of the toughest, like the dazzle and reverse dazzle ones, as we call them in the community.
Yes, yeah. Particularly the reverse dazzle or maze return. That's one of the more difficult walks in the game.
Yeah. There just isn't a really good setup for it. But luckily in this category, we can just go right in, waltz over to the right, and pick up the boots. And since, as Ian pointed out, we already placed the fourth palace gem with obligatory air quotes, we won't be doing it the intended way.
Yes, so you could, in theory, place all of the gems in a single palace, but then it turns out, unfortunately, it doesn't save time in most cases, but because of the way this palace is laid out, it does save a bit of time, and we don't have to deal with the RNG of this particular
Yeah, you know what
boss.
to do now.
I'm walking on life bars. Oh. So
Oh, go ahead.
yeah, that was a ceiling walk, and that's basically a pixel perfect trick when you are going through the screen transition vertically in order to get that. So always awesome to see it happen, since it's
that's a fun one to be able to show off in a marathon run, because it is fairly precise, although I have noticed that it's a little bit easier when you skip right to it.
Yes.
Not quite.
So it's there's some debate in the community. Some people think it's a glitch, some people don't. I happen to err on the side of it not being a glitch, but
these folks are not cooperating.
no, those Tektites and those bug enemies are both pretty random and not a ton of fun as a result.
So one of the items that you do have to get are heart containers and magic containers. So I'm gonna go ahead and pick up one here. Normally we use fairy to do this, but because I'm watching my magic meter and want to have more magic available at a place when we're done with Palace 5, I'm doing this intentionally a little bit differently there.
And then the Palace 5 boss, even with the high attack and high magic, still hits pretty hard, and so just having that little bit of extra life is nice.
Yeah, and being able to be at attack 8 is very nice, because, Eon, don't you know from experience how many hits Guma takes at attack 1?
So it turns out at attack 1, Guma takes 72 hits. So, whereas at attack 8, it's only 6 hits.
Yep, exactly. And in fact, that sort of is a good segue to bring up that just before this run, Eon actually set a world record in the Attack 1 challenge, which is the reason why she knows that all too well. So I want to give her congratulations in chat.
Congratulations! That's exciting. That's hype.
Yeah. And it wasn't just like any world record. It was like by, it was a PB by like 4 minutes or something, right?
PB was 4 minutes, 37 seconds, and world record by 3 minutes and 40 seconds, so.
Yeah.
That's
awesome
impressive.
job.
Good
Yeah,
work.
definitely want to. Oh,
This is a
not
very
get
much
hit by
hated
a
block
boulder.
room in all keys, because you have to get that key up there. Thankfully, we can ignore it.
Well, you can't really ignore the blocks falling on you too easily, but I'll just go
Nice
by.
skip.
Yeah, it doesn't really save that much time, admittedly, when you can just one-shot them, but every little bit counts. Okay, so I'm gonna pick up, I think this is gonna be the last key I pick up. Oops, yeah. Oh no, we're gonna get the the any key or magical key at the end. But
Plus boss keys that you can't not pick up.
oh yeah, little silly things like boss keys. And then these things that are getting in my way are called magos, which I think is related to the word mage or something because they shoot fire at you.
I think so. In the Japanese version, that blue iron knuckle in that room with the false wall is not actually there. It is actually a horsehead refight.
Yeah, the Japanese version of Zelda 2 is very different in a number of ways, including the leveling, which is just... Alright. Let's see how carefully I can get this done. Oh, didn't quite get the magic pixel there.
But we did get the flute, which we'll see being used in 2 places coming up. But now there's a lot of backtracking, so probably a good time for some donations.
I heard we wanted some donations.
Yeah.
Yes,
Delightful.
please.
So we have a $25 donation from Quadalina, Gaming for a Good Cause. I love it. Thanks for featuring Zelda 2. We had kind of a small conversation going in chat with everyone when you're playing Zelda. So wait, this is actually The Adventure of Zelda? No, it's The Adventure of Zelda 2, featuring Zelda. And another person comes in, no, this is Zelda 2, The Adventures of Sheik. And it's just been really, really humorous seeing the reactions to the mod. We also have a $100 donation from the Cat Umbrella. Ooh. We've got a $5 donation coming in from Anonymous. And we have another Anonymous donation, actually, for $25.
Thank you, Anonymous.
Thank you.
Anonymous is out here doing a lot of the heavy lifting today, I'm noticing. A lot of Anonymous people saying, you know what, I feel like I'm going to give money to a good cause today and watch some really dope content. And you're in the right place to do that. Again, all donations today are helping Malala Fund. Help Malala Fund bring more secondary education to more women around the world.
All right, so here's Guma.
There we see the nice yellow shield tunic or dress.
Oops. Going to use a little bit of a safer strat here. Just go in one stab at a time. But luckily, he only takes, I think, 6 stabs.
Yes, yeah, 6 stabs.
So not that 72 business that do with an attack 1 challenge.
Yes.
So now we're going to go through an area of the game we like to call Wilson Walls.
Yes. And we're also going to go enter the first town that we've been in all game.
Well, not quite yet. And then
Well, after the Wilson
1,
fences.
2, 3, 4.
Those sword stabs are designed to manipulate the
Nice.
the movement of the overworld enemies. She just skipped an overworld encounter there with these Wilson fences. And the overworld enemies can be in 2 states, either one where they home in on your character or one where they have a tendency to random walk. And so it turns out that that the behavior of them, in which state they're in, is determined based on how much time you spend on the last screen before exiting to the overworld. So the stabs themselves weren't important, just the fact that the stabs create a consistent delay to get that manipulation that made it so Tetra could get that encounter skip.
Yeah. I'll take only 1 encounter going through here.
And so getting to use my favorite, the fire spell. These Tektites cannot be killed without the fire spell on the NES version.
Yeah, in any percent category, you normally wouldn't pick up fire because it's pretty limited in its utility, but since we're doing a New Game Plus category, we already have it.
Yes. And Some people like to say that fire is useless, to which I strongly fight back. I think it is a very underappreciated spell, so...
Yep. You gotta fight fire with fire, right? Or something
Yes.
like that?
So, turns out we have to get 2 things in this town. The first one here at the edge of town.
Ooh, what do you think of that pose?
Oh, that's a good pose.
I want to say that's at least 7 or 8 out of 10.
I'll go 8.5.
Okay, cool.
So there we just got the any key, or the magical key as I believe it's called in the manual. This means we can now unlock any door. We don't have to pick up keys to be able to do that, which means we don't actually have to ferry through doors anymore, which is nice because there's a lot of doors that you would otherwise have to ferry through in Palace 6. And the other thing we need to get from here is the final magic container.
Yep. And we're gonna get it in this little house here. And I think I should have just enough magic left to ferry the
Yes,
magic container.
Yep, yeah, you do have just enough.
Nice. And by the way, Eon, you really like math, right?
Yes, I do really like math.
How would you like to do a little bit of Tektite math coming up?
Yeah, so remember what I mentioned about that delay on the screen determining how the overworld enemies move? So that comes into play here. We have a difficult walk where we need to go get the final heart container, and we need to determine how many sword stabs we need to do based on how we get knocked around by these Tektites. So that's where the Tektite math comes into play. Turns out Tektites were really nice this time, so don't really have to do any actual math, just do your normal stabs.
Didn't get the slink though, unfortunately.
Yeah, so the idea is you get them into a pattern that you can slink and move by them as they go, and then you can get there without taking encounters, but it's by no means guaranteed even if you get the perfect movement in the cave. So here we have the second use of the flute to go into Palace 6.
Okay. What do we have in Palace 6 coming up?
Well, there's a boss coming up that we've seen before. We're actually gonna get to see it twice. So don't want to spoil that before we get to it. And then we got to get the cross item, which allows us to see some Moas in the Valley of Death, which is to do the Valley of Death without being able to see the Moas is not a fun time.
Nope, not so much. But luckily, since we have to get the cross anyway, might as well be able to take advantage of it.
Yes.
Ooh, pretty good WizCon.
Yeah, so.
I love that strat.
Yeah, that skull bubble is a pain, but Tetra dealt with him very nicely. So up here we have what is affectionately known as the Canadian hole.
1, 2, jump.
And Tetra cleared it. There's an invisible hole in the floor that will take you to a part of the palace that we don't really want to go to because it slows us down. And the reason it's called the Canadian hole is... Oh, hi, Rebo.
Yeah, it's been so long.
Yes,
Oops.
so the reason it's called the Canadian hole is back in 2015, there was the Community All Keys tournament, and a number of Canadian speedrunners participating in the tournament had fallen into the Canadian hole. And so one of them decided to name it after all of the Canadian runners who had fallen into the hole during the tournament.
Yep. So it's customary if someone falls into it to say, welcome to Canada, bienvenue au Canada. All right, let's see if I can... Darn. Well, this is going to be a little bit tricky because I didn't get a red jar from that statue. There's a 50-50 chance each time I pass it. And I I had 2 opportunities but didn't get either of them. So if I don't get lucky with a jar up ahead, I may have to do an extra death abuse, which is unfortunate, but that's the way the jar crumbles sometimes.
Yes.
I could feel in your pause you were trying to find the pun, and I mentally tried to prepare myself, and I still failed.
That's all right. Yeah. Okay. No.
Oh,
Getting
dang.
really 3 in a row. That's unfortunate.
That is.
Yeah,
But this
I do
room
still
here is
have
another
a-
one where you get the opportunity for a ceiling walk, but unfortunately we didn't get it this time.
Yeah.
Okay, using the spell turns enemies into bots, which is really nice because those sine wave unicorn heads are real dangerous, so you got to take care of them somehow, and that's a great way to do it.
Yep, exactly. So I am pretty much out of magic that I can use for fairies, so we're gonna have to take a little bit of a lava bath here. Unfortunate, but yeah. Not the end of the world. We have plenty of lives to work with. Since going into Grand Palace, we're gonna up A again, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And that replenishes your lives.
Yeah. That's real nice to. Great Palace is the one part of the game where if
Free
you
the bubble.
if you do an up A inside of Great Palace and select continue, you'll actually restart at the beginning of Great Palace instead of all the way back at North Palace where the game starts. So that's real nice that we can do that.
All right, almost at the end of the game, or sorry, at the end of Palace 6. And there's a little bit of a tricky thing that tricks a lot of people when they play casually, in that you have to go down here, and then there's just this small little gap that you have to fairy through. There's no way you can get through there without going into fairy form.
Yes. Yeah, that's trips people up, especially if they don't have enough magic left over by the time they get there. So this is Barba, and Barba takes 8 hits with attack 8, or 96 hits with attack 1.
Yep. And I've been practicing my 1 cycle Barba kill recently, so that was very well done.
Yes. Yeah, anytime you can get a 1 cycle on Barba is real good.
Normally at this point in this game, you would go and get the Thunder Spell, but we don't need to do that.
And that little duck into the bridge was to reset the spawns so that Tetra could make it to the other bridge without taking an encounter. And there's a...
Oh!
So that Moa right there is one that you can't see if you don't have the cross. And so this
I'm
is
just gonna fairy feet this.
yeah, good use of the fairy feet. That's a if fairy feet is not allowed, that's not a screen that you want to do without skipping by taking an encounter. So
And then in the Valley of Death here, I'm gonna make pretty liberal use of the spell. It makes getting through these flying eyeball rooms, or what are they, Moas?
yeah, they're Moas.
Much easier.
Yeah, they are. Their movement is kind of weird. They're sort of screen locked in a way, or at least they react to your D-pad, and they can zoom real fast and knock you into the lava. It's not fun.
Ooh, yeah. Not fun indeed.
Oh, and here's Max. Oh,
Bye, Max. I think Max was happier as a bot.
so that that's the one scorpion that you see in the run consistently, and so there's a speedrunner of this game, Scorpion Max, and so we call that Scorpion Max after him.
Yep. Okay. This was a decently clean VOD.
Yes.
I find most of the time when I play, they either go really, really well or really, really not well. So I'm glad this was the former.
Yeah, and so now here we are in Great Palace, or as I like to call it, Epic Music Time.
Yeah. Sour, please.
Yes.
And we're gonna see a bunch of these spicy chickens, as we like to call them. Do you know the official Japanese name for them?
So, I'm trying to remember because there's the bird knights as well, and they both have very similar names, and I can't remember which is which. But they're one of them. I think they are Fokiru, is what the spicy chickens are, and the bird knights are Foka. But I could have that switched.
Yeah, I think that's right. But just want to make sure it's Fokka, not
Yes.
a different other word that we're not going to use on stream.
Correct. Made sure to pronounce it with a long O.
Yes, very good.
So here's I think in the randomizer community, they call these waffle rooms because of the block patterns kind of look like waffles. And
Oh, now I'm getting hungry.
well, there's, coming up later, there's another one of those rooms that is referred to as a chicken and waffles room. You may be able to guess why.
All right. Gonna have another spicy chicken up here. I generally like to bury the ones that are on a hill because those can be a little bit more challenging to jump
Yes.
over.
Yeah, they can be a little tricky. They are well, and they can put like some backspin on the fire and stuff to get you when you're not expecting it. Like, so here we go. This is the chicken and waffles room. This jump that Tetra's gonna go for is referred to as the quantum leap, where you can, with your sword, it can actually bump you up and you get 5 tiles high. And as a result of it being called the quantum leap, this bird knight is also referred to as Scott Bicula. So,
Not having the most luck with Mr. Bicula today, but...
Bicula can often be a jerk, so...
And then this is the Ex-Christine Memorial Bridge. Shout out to Ex-Christine. She thought it was a different bridge during one of her playthroughs, which is why we call it the Memorial Bridge.
Is it okay?
Good skip there.
Is it okay if I sneak in a couple of donations for you?
Yeah.
Sure, go ahead.
Fantastic. We have a $25 donation from Jamich. Hey Tetra, good luck on the run and thanks for being such a wonderful ambassador for the Zelda 2 community.
Aw, thanks, Janice.
Thanks, Jamich.
And we have an anonymous donation for $500.
Whoa.
Enjoying one of my favorite games and supporting a great cause, it's hard to beat. Tetra is amazing.
Tetra
Aw,
is
shucks.
amazing.
Thank you so much for that very generous donation.
And this one right here, I think, is the hardest spicy chicken of the game.
Yeah. And now up comes the most important enemy of the game. Ready? Squeesh!
Kingbot, or Bossbot, as he's called, often catches players by surprise if they're coming in without prior knowledge.
All right, so now we're gonna go right into the final bosses of the game.
Yes, so here we come to Thunderbird, which is why you need the Thunder spell. Tetra's gonna use the full complement of spells: Shield, Jump, Reflect, and then Thunder. Thunder is important because that's what makes the boss vulnerable. Shield reduces the amount of damage you take. Jump lets you jump higher to get more attacks in. And Reflect lets your shield block the fireballs and also shrinks your hitbox. So if at all possible when you're fighting, you want to be able to cast all of those spells, but you need Magic 8 to do that.
Yep. Unfortunately, since we're at all 8 levels, it's not a problem. But now we come back to, normally it would be Dark Link, but in this case it's going to be Dark Zelda.
Just 8 hits, and the interesting thing about Dark Link or Dark Zelda is that the fight is independent of your
time.
attack level. Yeah.
Yep. Forgot about that part.
It's always 8 hits regardless of what your attack level is. And nice run.
Yep.
GG.
That was oh, excuse me. Apparently I wasn't ready to speak. That was really smooth. That was really smooth.
Thank you. I'm curious what the time was.
I'm waiting for it. It looks like it would have been 49:54. That's
Awesome.
that's not including the forgetting that we were speed running.
Yeah, I was aiming. My goal for this was to get a sub 50, which it sounds like I just barely did. So awesome.
Yeah,
Perfect.
congrats. Great run. Oh, and you rescued Link.
Mm-hmm.
That's a real nice touch.
The true
Yeah.
adventures of Zelda.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you so much to the two of you for the run and the commentary. Where can everybody find you, and what kind of content do you create?
Sure. My Twitch name is Tetrally, Tetraly, and I do mostly Zelda 1 and Zelda 2 runs for the NES. And thank you so much for having me. It was really an honor to be able to run this game, and thank you so much again to Eon for all the great commentary.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you for having me.
And then Eon, you can't escape without your call-outs too.
All right, so my Twitch name is eonheck. That's EONHCK. So we're not vulgar. And my content is primarily Zelda 2, as well as Tetris the Grandmaster. Those are my main things that I stream. So and mostly speedrunning content.
Perfect. Excellent. Well, again, thank you so much to the both of you for coming out and doing your run in benefit of Malala Fun. We greatly appreciate you. Excellent run. I'm glad you got your goal of sub 50 as well. Everyone in chat, you know the drill. Go forth, get your stretches on, get them water. But you're going to do that after we go visit Scent and Frozen Flygon to see what they're getting up to. It was a joke. Y'all have to deal with me a little bit longer. I have jokes for everybody, but that's okay, because along with those jokes, I also have some more donations. I have some more stuff for y'all to think about and talk about while we're going forth and getting ready to see more prizes. Just as a reminder, when you go to donate, you can choose your prizes manually. You can put in the incentives. We do have an incentive that's running all day long to see that Data Zimnus run. So get those donations in. Get those donations in. We're right on the edge of 16,000. I believe in us, chat. I believe in us with the utmost, absolute, highest energy under the sun that we can do it before we even get over there. That's what, $251. $251 away from a 16K goal. I do have a couple of other donations for everybody. So we have a $100 donation from players A plus B. Happy to chip in for this great cause. Good luck to all the runners. We have a $10 donation from Jody. Happy to pitch in for a great cause, and I always love seeing fatales pop up on the schedule. Thank you so much for the support. We love speedrunning for charitable causes. We have a $25 donation from T-Burn. Here we go. And we have a couple of heavy hitters coming in, an anonymous donation for $250. So, again, if you're just now tuning in, first and foremost, thank you so much for tuning in and spending your day with us to raise money for great causes. Again, we are raising money for Malala Fund, which is helping young women all around the globe obtain their secondary education and giving them opportunity and access to opportunities that they may not have in other situations. Another shout out to the Yeti for being one of our partners since 2011. Again, Frost Fatale shirts. Go get you one. They're great shirts. And for every shirt that's purchased, the Yeti is going to donate $5 to Malala Fund. For every brand new pin for Frost Fatales coming through, it's going to be $4 towards Malala Fund. And I was going to say Malala Fund again. And the Yeti's official Frost Fatales 2022 collection can be shopped in its entirety at www.theyeti.com. All right. So how are we feeling? We do have a couple of final donations that I can go through before we go over to what I tried to shoe us to before. We have another staggering $250 donation from Anonymous and a $30 donation from KH. But now we're actually going to go over, like I said before, I lied to you terribly, and I'm so sorry. So you can go hang out with Scent and Fly, who are not liars like I am.
Don't worry about that, PT. It's all good. As you can clearly see, it is time to visit us and talk about the. Wait a minute, crap.
Oh no.
Yeah, you see, this is where the confusion was. I'm very sorry. That's entirely my fault. My name is Sent, and joining me as always is the amazing Frozen Flygon. Frozen, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. What's up?
Oh, I'm doing really good too. Enjoying these speed runs?
Absolutely. I love that Zelda 2 run, but it was actually Zelda this time.
Yeah. No, every time I see that run, I'm reminded of like. Oh yeah, that game is like super technical and really difficult.
And really difficult.
It's always really good watching a runner tear it up. But right now, we have to tell you all about some of the amazing prizes that you can win by donating during Frost Fatales. $25 minimum donation anytime today while the stream is live is going to get you entered in to win all of the prizes that we are about to talk about. So get those donations in if you haven't already. Remember, they're going to a great cause, right, Frozen?
Yeah, they're going to Malala Fund, which helps women across the world get an education.
And I mean, you're a teacher. So
I
that's
am.
like, near and dear to your heart for sure. I'm sure.
Yeah, it's really awesome. And, we talked to Suzanne earlier and just heard about all the amazing work that your donations go towards.
Definitely super cool. Anyway, let's take a look at some of the prizes we have available. As I forgot to refocus the camera, thank you to the team in the studio that is running out to refocus the camera. Focus the camera so you can see great prizes like this lovely Artorias print from our friend Vats of Goop. This thing is incredible. It's Artorias from Dark Souls 1 in the Dark Souls 3 style with like the ring of flame around him. He's got his, of course, traditional great sword there, and I just really love the colors and the contrast of this piece because it's done entirely in like black and gray and red, and it really pops. It's so cool. $15 minimum donation comes with the frame. But again, $25 minimum donation is going to get you entered into everything we're about to talk about, including, Frozen, I know it's your favorite prize today.
Yes! Look at my friend! Look at this. We got a little small neck here.
Yep.
And it's basically just as large as me. I am. It's perfect.
It is Frozen size. It comes to us from Kaito Ace. It is adorable. It is huggable. It could be your new small neck friend for a $25 minimum donation at any point today. Please make sure to get those donations in. You could win this and so many other amazing prizes. And thank you so much to Kaito Ace for sending it out to us. As you can see, the people here at the studio absolutely love it. And someone at home is going to get to take it home and give it that much love as well. Now, from our own in-house artist, LLK, we have, as shown a few times now, this absolutely lovely velocity clock. This is a hand-painted on wood clock right here, featuring Velocity, the GDQ speedrunning Velociraptor. And what I think is really cool about this is that it's not just, LLK's beautiful oil on wood art style. It's also several animation cells that she's cut out and placed around the clock to mark, the 12, the 3, the 6, and the 9. as well as a velocity that she's made out of actually like 2 or 3 different animation cells taped on top of each other. It's super cool.
Yeah, it's
got
really
some
cool.
depth
And
to
yeah, it has this like this 3D effect of having it layered on top of each other. It's really wonderful.
One of a kind piece right here, $25 minimum donation. And don't worry, it's a functional clock. It comes with clock hands as much as we've been memeing about it not. $25 minimum donation. You could win this, as well as the small neck, as well as the Artorias print, as well as so many other amazing prizes. We have a pair of lovely patches, Kingdom Heart themed, from our good friend Wolf Shadow. You get the Nobody patch and the Heartless patch, those two iconic symbols right there. From our good friend, and I love this username, lol what? Or sorry, what lol?
What?
Is an absolutely beautiful Kingdom Hearts themed cross stitch of Sora in his heartless form, and a reminder to never lose your light along with it. It's a beautiful piece. You got to head over to gamesdonequick.com to check out a great picture of it. Also, for Spyro fans, we had a couple of amazing Spyro speedruns earlier. And Carolyn Designs has sent us in a lovely hand-painted 8x8 oil-on-canvas piece featuring the dragon himself, Spyro. Make sure to head over to gamesdonequick.com, check out a picture of it because it is absolutely fantastic. You can see the detail in every inch of that canvas, let me tell you. Now, that's just about all the prizes we have today, but if you get that $25 minimum donation in, you're going to be 1/5 of the way towards winning our grand prize for this event so far, a lovely PlayStation 5. $125 cumulatively throughout the event gets you entered in to win the PS5. So if you've already donated $125 this event, great. You have been entered in to win that PS5. If you donated $25 today to get entered into all the prizes we've talked about, do that 4 more times. You're going to be entered into that amazing PS5. Bang. There you go. Now, if you're ever curious about any of the prizes that are upcoming, or any information about the event, like, hey, when's the stream starting tomorrow, and what can I put my donations towards? Because you don't have to put your donations towards the prizes. You can put them towards incentives, right, Frozen?
Yeah, absolutely. And so every single day you can check the website and see what amazing bid wars and incentives we have going on, and you can control what happens in the marathon, like turning Spyro yellow like we saw earlier, and having Zelda instead of Link show up. There's going to be tons of awesome bid wars like that for the remainder of the marathon.
Exactly. Head over to gamesdonequick.com if you're not already there. Check out the tracker because it's got all the information you need on upcoming speedruns that you can watch, on upcoming incentives you can put your donations towards, and of course on upcoming prizes that you could win. Now, Frozen, I think that's all for us. I think we're finally ready to continue the duck block, right?
I think you mean begin the duck block.
No, like I said, the Zelda was definitely the start of duck block.
It's not called Duck 2. I mean,
I'm just saying, if Link crouches, he can do the duck walk.
I can't believe we're getting into another argument about the duck block in the same day. But regardless, we do have DuckTales up next. That's a certainty.
Stay tuned for it.
Welcome back, everybody. I hope you're hype about those prizes. I hope those donations are coming in so you get a chance at some of those wonderful prizes. Although I think you may have to pry the small neck from Frozen Flygon. Maybe you can entice them with some additional bows to get the small neck in exchange. I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't make the rules. I'm just calling it like I see it. But just as a reminder too, all of your subs and bits do help out the channel at large. And if you like stuff like Frost Fatales and the other fantastic Hot Fix shows events that we put on, make sure you're helping us out with those subs and those biddies. And if you can't help out with subs and biddies, that's okay. But tell your friends. You got a really cool speedrunning channel you like to watch, and it's really fun and engaging and exciting. I've been Pleasantly Twisted. I will see everybody a little bit later on tomorrow, and we're going to continue with some more runs after this short break.
Welcome back to Frost Fatales 2022. I am Nicole Goodnight, and I will be your host for this upcoming set of duck-themed games. I hope you're all having a great day chat and are as excited for them as I am. I have a $5 anonymous donation. Anonymous, thank you so much for that donation. And if you're just joining us, we are benefiting Malala Fund. Malala Fund is working for a world where all girls can learn and lead. Malala Fund advocates for resources and policy changes needed to give all girls a secondary education, invests in local education leaders, and amplifies the voices of girls fighting for a change. Learn more at malala.org. We have a $15 donation from Ravensguard that says, Happy Pokemon Day. You too, thank you so much. And I'm getting word we are all ready for DuckTales Remastered with Rico Suave. For any % PC, take it away.